Hello and welcome to another House of Wisdom lightest and best video where we look at the lightest and best offerings from a variety of knife manufacturers. And today we have a knife that's a button lock from Hogue Knives. It's the X1 Micro. Hogue Knives is based out of Henderson, Nevada, and they use a lot of Alan Eleshowitz's designs. Specifically, in this knife, the X1 Micro, they use his design. Jim Bruns is the company president with whom I had an interview during Blade Show 2017. I'll post a link to that interview sometime during this video so you can watch it. Hogue Knives and Hogue Equipment is known for making gun grips and stocks and holsters and gear, but they also make knives, and I have a lovely one here. It's their lightest and best, the X1 Micro. The blade length is 2 5/8 inches. The handle is a 4-inch handle. The total knife length is 6 5/8 inches with a weight of 2.9 ounces. And I have some knives for comparison. First, the Hinder half track is about the same size. The Hogue MK Ultra is a little smaller. The J.D. Van Deventer Pinstripe is around the same size. The Spyderco Dragonfly is a little smaller. The Chris Reeves Menunde is a little smaller. And the Benchmade Valet is around the same size. The blade of the knife is a stone-washed blade in this version. They also make a Cerakoted blade for $10 more. The blade is in a drop point configuration with a high hollow ground, and the blade is made of a powdered steel CPM 154. The blade has jimping on the proximal aspect and then swedging at the end. The method of deployment is by flipper, and it has a ball detent. Flips out great, and the knife free falls until you hit the ball detent, at which point you have to close it manually. The blade also comes in an assisted form that does not have the ball detent. The handle is made of anodized aluminum. One of the advantages to aluminum is that it holds its color really well and it doesn't fingerprint like some of the titanium anodizations. The colors it comes in are black, gray, and copper. This blue is a limited edition. Of this particular version, there were only 50 made, celebrating the 50th anniversary of the company. On the blade, as you can tell, there are 7 different grooves cut in descending length on the show side of the handle. The clip side of the handle does not have the grooves. The handle has a back spacer that has 10 milled holes so that you have some ventilation through the knife. The end of the back spacer protrudes a little bit from the handle and can serve as a glass breaker. The pivot of the knife is on metallic washers, and I disassembled the knife for you and I'll show you a picture of them. Note that the metallic washer, at least on the show side, is colored blue like the handle of the knife. The lock on the knife is a button lock, and button locks are some of my favorite knives because whenever you undo the button lock, your fingers are completely out of the blade path. It's the safest lock there is. Other safe locks where your fingers are out of the blade path include the Axis lock by Benchmade, and here you have the Valet, and as you can see, just pull back on the Axis lock and then close it like that. You can flip it out and close it. The Axis lock is a safe one I like too. And then there's the compression lock like the Spyderco Para 3 has. You just push on that button, give it a little flip, and it closes and your hands are out of the blade path. And with the Gavin Hawk Orbit, he has the Hawk lock. And on this one, like the Axis lock, except you just have a button on one side, you pull down on the button and it closes like that. And just like the button lock on that one, it doesn't close all the way. You have to finish it to overcome the detent. So I love button locks. I love all the locks where you can keep your fingers out of the way. I have a few button locks I wanted to show you here. Two are from Canadian makers. This is the Rod Olson M9, and it has a button lock, and again, your fingers are out of the way, you just push it and it closes nicely. I have also a button lock, the Brian Ty and Friends TIE Fighter, and just love it. You just push on that button lock and it goes right where it should be. Your hands are out of the way. It's a wonderful lock. And this is the lock employed by the XK Micro also. The XK Micro has a pocket clip, which is an embedded clip, and it's a spring clip. You can have it tip up right hand or left hand. And notice that there's a filler tab on the left hand side, which adds a little special fit and finish. I want to show you a couple of knives that have filler tabs or not have filler tabs. One is the Hinder XM18, and it has a filler tab here that's covered. The Maxpedition, which I also like, this is a $100 knife and this is a $400 knife. It doesn't have the filler tab, and so it doesn't have quite the fit and finish that the XM Micro and the Hinder XM18 have. Some choose to use it, some don't, but I like the extra fit and finish that goes along with having one. The ergonomics on the knife are very good. It has a 4-inch handle, which can accommodate most hands. It has a place for your finger. There aren't any hot spots at all. And the action of the knife, as I've mentioned, is this free fall smooth knife, and you just have to finish it off with the detent. Some of you have asked me to mention the prices of the knives I review, and so I'm going to start doing that. This knife in the configuration, as you see, costs $160. With a Cerakoted blade, it's $10 more, $170. And they have a limited edition with the Damascus blade and carbon fiber handle scales for $289. What do I think about the Hogue X1 Micro? I really like it. Are there opportunities for improvement? Sure. One of the things I wanted to point out is it's just a distinctive about the knife is that when you're flipping it, you can't put your thumb over the button. You have to put it down a little bit. It'll lock every time when you do that. But if you put your finger over the button, it won't lock because this button is required to pop out to lock the blade in place. So you just have to watch your hand placement whenever you're flipping the knife. You have to keep your thumb out of the way. The other thing I want to mention is that an opportunity loss. They have these beautiful fullers on the show side, but on the clip side they didn't put them, and it looks a little unfinished. I think having a design theme on both sides of the handle scale, especially whenever you have a button lock blade, because you can do it. For example, the Hinder, it has this brick wall pattern on both the show and the clip side. And if you look at the Brian Ty, you have this milling pattern that's equal on both the show and the clip side. And also with the Olson, because you don't have a lock bar cut out, your scales on both sides can be exactly identical. So there was an opportunity lost by just leaving the clip side unmilled. And that may have been a corner they didn't want to cut, but they did. Well, what do I like about it? First of all, I like aluminum scales in that you can get these brilliant colors that you can't really pull off with titanium scales. Look how beautiful this bright blue is, and it doesn't fingerprint or smudge, and wow, I just really had to have it. And you guys, there may be some left you can try. This is just, like I said, there were only 50 of this one made, and I believe 50 in the Cerakoted version also. I also like the button lock. As I've mentioned, I love the lock that keeps your hands out of the blade path, and it's just fun to fidget with and fun to play with. I also like the knife because it's small and light. It weighs less than 3 ounces and has a blade that's shorter than 3 inch. Therefore, it's usable in almost every state except New York City maybe. So, if you're looking for a small, light EDC knife with a button lock configuration, the Hogue X1 Micro might be the knife for you. Like and subscribe, leave a comment, and let me know what you think about the XM Micro. And we'll see you on the next House of Wisdom, lightest and best video.